50cloud Pastel Accounting topic webinar. My name is Joanne Barnard and I will be your panelist and host for the session. Guys, today what we're going to be talking about is an overview of Tax Manager. So last month we spoke about the general tax settings, where you set up your percentages, how the tax works. We kind of briefly spoke about the tax box. And now we're going to actually speak about Tax Manager itself. So basically, you need to make sure that all of the other settings are set up, your general settings, before you can actually set up your Tax Manager. Now, when we set up Tax Manager, we will set up our periods. So guys, my Tax Manager is in fact set up. But when you set up Tax Manager, initially this will not be set up, and you will then come in and you will set up your tax reporting frequency. When you set up your frequency, it will give you your tax periods. Now, your tax periods are not necessarily the same as your actual pastel periods, so please bear that in mind. So at times when you're having issues, you need to explain to us, are you having a problem with the actual pastel periods or your tax periods, especially when we're talking about tax? Then once you set that up, you can then go and view your tax reports. Now, those of you from the old days know that Tax Manager was introduced in version 12. And guys, this was to make sure that we were compatible with SARS, the tax reporting frequency was correct, and it will pull the information through. And one of the main things that we wanted to do with Tax Manager was to stop out of period processing. Before version 12, I was going to say in the old days, which makes me sound very ancient, but back in up to version 11, if you had submitted to SARS, there was no way to close off your tax period. And if for, let's say, May, June, you hadn't captured all of your invoices or, tax processing, and you needed to do that, the way that a lot of people would do it would be to do out of period processing. So they would process, for example, with July's period, but June's date, so that they could kind of have their tax now show in July when they pulled the reports, but they need it for June because it's actually a June invoice. So that's what would happen. But obviously, as many of you may know, out of period processing in pastel causes a whole host of errors. So we created the Tax Manager to actually stop that, because with the Tax Manager, one, you can set up your reporting frequency, but two, you can also close your tax periods. So if you have May, June, and you close May, June off, and then you realize that there's tax processing that you still needed to do, which should have been for May or June, but you've submitted to SARS, so you need to now include it in July, August, you can process with the correct period, the correct date. So June's period, June's date, and it will go and put that transaction in the open period, the open tax period, because May, June's is closed. So it will put that May or June invoice in July, August. So guys, that is the whole point of Tax Manager, just to streamline that, make it a lot easier. And also so that when you are doing your reconciliation against what you've given to SARS, you can check, yes, this is what I provided. So basically you can view your reports. We have our tax type report, our tax box report. And then guys, we have an awesome report called the Tax Manager Reconciliation Report. So if I had to view my tax type report, that is just my standard tax type report that we view. And we can see here that we can print to screen, printer, Excel, Word, HTML, email, ASCII, or PDF. Now, I'm going to obviously print to screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing. And you will see that the period is grayed out. Now, guys, this is because I'm viewing the open period, and you can only view one open period at a time. I can't suddenly go and say, oh, actually, although I haven't closed September and October, I want to actually view, November and December. I can't do that. The only way that you can select the actual tax period is from your closed reports. So this will be grayed out. And then guys, you'll see here that this only uses tax type 01 all the way to my tax type 21. So 00 is not included in this. Then guys, you can choose whether you want to show details, whether you want to print descriptions. If you want a new page per account item or type, please don't print this to a printer if you select that, because you're going to kill the whole of the Amazon forest. And then guys, this offset credits against sales purchases. This is only for customer and supplier documents. So if you do journals and you have to do a reversal of a journal or a cash book, it is not going to, for example, if the original transaction was output, it's not going to put the reversal as output. It's going to go put the reversal as input. Only if you process documents, so you do a customer invoice and you do a credit note, if you tick this, it will show you the customer invoice as output, and it will put the credit note as negative output. So it will cancel the two out. If you do not tick this, the credit note will go to input, but at the end of the day, the two will cancel each other out. It's just one will not, they will not sit under output like they should if we're talking about customers, or if we're talking about suppliers, they're not both going to sit under input if we're talking about journals and cash books. It will put them as the original transaction. Let's say you did a supplier payment, it will put the original supplier payments as output. It will then put the reversal as input. So guys, that's what you need to bear in mind if you're doing journals and cash books. This only works for documents. So the reversals will either be an input or output depending on what the VAT is. If the VAT is credit VAT, it is seen as output. If the VAT is debit VAT, it is seen as input. So just bear that in mind. If we then click on OK, it's going to generate our standard tax type report. So you'll see I've got an invoice, it's under output, done. And then it's saying this is your control account. Now guys, if we run the box report, as I said, I could just last week very basically explain how that works. Your box report is something that is very customizable to your business. On top of that, guys, just as a refresher, if we do go there very quickly, we who work in support at Sage are not tax practitioners. So you will see with the box report you've got numbers at the top and numbers down. Guys, for some reason, okay, there we go. Sorry, that was taking a bit of time. So here you've got your entry types, and the numbers running across are your tax types. So you need to understand the different tax types that you've set up. Your tax types are set up here. So they refer to the number over here. Now, when we select this, guys, you'll see that it's more than just input and output and standard rated. There are a number of different options. Because we are not trained in tax, we cannot tell you what this is meant to be. I cannot tell you if tax type 1 is meant to be standard output, or if it's just meant to be output capital, or if it's meant to be output other. Either you need to know this when setting it up, or you need to speak to a tax practitioner, because based on the actual tax type, this may have a very specific option that you need to select, and then they need to make sure that the report, when it's pulled, is pulled correctly. So they need to tell you, hey, yes, you need to use this in the layout. Then they need to go, okay, based on what I'm seeing, sorry guys, my mouse ran away from me there. They need to tell you that, hey, actually now we need to combine the following two boxes to make a total. So this is very customizable to your business. It's why we don't help. Yes, you can use the demo to set it up if you want. It's a very generic layout. And guys, generally that's the layout we will help you with. We'll be like, hey, it's a generic layout. The most I can tell you is these are your entry types, those are your tax types. look at the options and set it up as you feel best. But guys, if that is said incorrectly, the last thing that anyone in support wants is for you to be audited by SARS because your box report is wrong and suddenly they think something is not okay. So that's why I explained that last week. I'm just reiterating that. But guys, if you do have your box report set up, and the box report you can absolutely set up for journals and cash books to either debit and credit when doing payments are input, and then debits and credits when doing customers are output. You can set that up. That is where the box report comes in. It's customizable that way because you tell each entry type, whether it's purchases credit or purchases debit, this is where I want you to put this. It's got to go to input, period. I don't want to see anything. Then it'll do the input with the negative input where it'll cancel out. So that is that report, but you need to set it up properly and we cannot help you with it. That being said, guys, then you do have your report. And again, you can select the tax type report or the box report. If you select the box report, you will see that when selecting that, it is going to ask you for a tax form name. Now, guys, the reason that it asks for a tax form name is because if you use the tax return form to print on, you can print it on the form that SARS uses. So you can print it in that layout and just submit it to SARS. So that's if you are going to use the tax return form. If you don't use that, it'll be grayed out. If we go OK, it will then again print like this. So it's showing me everything in my box report, but this is not the same layout. If I rerun and I actually choose to use the form, then guys, you can go and edit your form accordingly. So I just need to find my form. So here we've got Tax SA. And guys, you can see this is the ENG, which is the uncustomized version. And I can say OK, and this is what that form looks like. So this is for your 201 VAT, I think. Yeah. So that is where a lot of people do like having a box report set up. But again, guys, please speak to a tax practitioner to make sure that those percentages, those tax types are going to be correct output. You're not putting everything to output and input. There are differences. Then lastly, guys, is that really awesome report. Now, guys, this report is something that you do want to use because this is if you view your tax report or your tax box report and you're like, half of my transactions aren't pulling through. This is the report that you actually want to view because, guys, when you view this report, this is basically going to tell you every transaction that you've processed and what's happening. So you can view this for specific range of periods. You can also view this for specific entry types. But then, guys, you can also view this for tax type 0, which is really important because a lot of the settings, and I've seen this on customers, it's on my side as well, by default, if you don't have a default tax type set up, what you will find is that it defaults to 00, and if you're rushing, you may process a lot of transactions as 00. Now, guys, if I click on OK, you're going to notice there are a lot more transactions than what showed on my tax report. Look at the tax type that was used though, tax type 00. Guys, tax type 00 is not included in your tax type reports, period. It is not included. It's basically you saying there is no tax. It will not include it. That's why it has no tax on it. So this is important for you to come in so that you can see, okay, what is happening? What was the entry type? What was the date? What was my tax type used? And you can figure out why those transactions aren't showing. So this is a really awesome report. Guys, in this report, you can also see the tax period. So was this already submitted? Or is this in an open tax period? What is the tax period that I'm using? And so this report can be really helpful. It can show you what was processed, how it was processed, the accounts that were used, and the entry type that was used. So this report is very underrated as well. If you feel that your VAT control account and your reports aren't matching up, this is the report that you're going to view against your VAT control account detailed ledger, and you're going to need to tick the different options, or your accountant is going to need to reconcile the two to each other to try to see where the problem is. Again, guys, we do not assist with reconciling things. So if you feel that your VAT control account is not correct to what the tax report is, you need to reconcile it, or your accountant needs to reconcile it. That is the job of an accountant. We provide support on the actual product itself, not on the processing within that product. So if you phone us at times and go, I need to know how to do this journal, guys, we can't tell you how to do that journal. That is processing, reconciliation, same thing. We don't want to do the wrong thing and then it leads to an audit by SARS, or it leads to your management being upset with you because it doesn't make sense. We are trained on how the software works, what the software is meant to do. An accountant is trained on reconciling your accounts. Please bear that in mind. So guys, this is what you're going to use though against the detailed ledger, and you're going to reconcile the two to try to figure out why your control account is maybe inflated or where there's a problem. Could be things like out of period processing, could be direct processing, things like that. Then guys, the last thing that the tax manager does is it allows you, as I said, to close off tax periods. And you do that by opening up and leaving a comment. So if you've submitted to SARS, you would say submitted, and maybe you're going to put the date. So like 13/07/2022. So you know this was submitted to SARS. I know that either SARS owe me X amount, which would be lovely because normally we end up paying SARS. Or you know, hey, I need to pay SARS X amount. This is the final, and you're going to go and obviously make that payment to SARS or wait for SARS to refund you. So if you're making that payment, that's when you will do this. You will have submitted. You're like, I don't want any other transactions to mess with this. I've paid SARS. We're done. That's when you close off that period, and then it will open the new tax period for you to start with those reports. And guys, that is basically Tax Manager. So there's not a lot to it. It is how it works. We can see now it's November, December. Sorry, guys, I am working in a company that has not run year end. I will resolve that at some point, but the stuff is still the same. So guys, that is Tax Manager itself. Now, on occasion, you may get other errors with Tax Manager. For example, you may view the reconciliation report and go, but Joe, it's not zero tax. I've checked, all of my transactions have that. It's not pulling through certain transactions. They were definitely processed in this VAT period. I've checked it. Guys, if that is the case, what I need you to do is go to Help, About. When you go to Help and About, it's going to open up your About screen. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold Control, Alt, and T for Tommy on your keyboard. And it is going to switch to the old tax box, tax type report. So before we had Tax Manager, because guys, Tax Manager writes to different DAT files. So if we look at a company, we created new DAT files for Tax Manager, but the old reports still write to the old tables. So basically, you have two tax tables at the moment. And basically, you can check those tax tables. And you can switch to the old reports to actually go, I'm going to view the old reports to check if my reports are now showing. Guys, it will not print the same way as what it does on Tax Manager. So you'll see here, you need to select your periods now. So I need to go, okay, I'm actually doing October and it's every 2 months. So the month that's ending and then 2 months. Again, guys, you'll see 00 is not here, but you've already viewed that reconciliation report, so you know it's not. You'll select your options and you will say OK. And guys, it will then pull through the information for 2 periods back. So you use the period ending. So I need to submit in October. So I select October and then I put 2, which means September, October. And if the information pulls here, guys, this is a data fix. So if you can view the information on your tax type report in the old way, there's a problem pulling the transactions into the tax manager tables, and we need your data to do a data fix. So that is how you switch between the two. Now, guys, some of you might go, I prefer the old way. I don't want to use tax manager. Good news is that you can always switch to that if you want to. You can always use a Control-Alt-T if it makes you happy. Bad news is if you close Pastel, then you need to constantly press Control-Alt-T. So guys, Control-Alt-T works until you close Pastel. Once you have closed Pastel, you will not, it will then open, and you open it again, it will open Tax Manager. So guys, that is the one issue that often comes up that we see, where we will say, hey, print it in the old layout, see if that happens. Then guys, recently, I actually had someone who couldn't close their tax reports. The close was grayed out, the view was grayed out. Now guys, please don't do this unless absolutely necessary, because there are repercussions to what I am about to do. I'm just logging into my company again. And guys, there is an option in Change to open tax periods and clear tax manager. Now, opening a tax period is fine. If you do need to open it, that's fine. But again, guys, there are repercussions to doing that. If you choose to reopen a tax period, or if you choose to reset your tax periods, remember we spoke about there's no longer a need to do out of period processing. So if you closed off your period and realize that, hey, I closed off May, June, but I still have May, June processing, so I'm just going to process that as per normal because I closed off the tax period and it's going to put it in July, August. The moment you reopen May, June, or the moment you clear all your tax settings, guys, it is going to move those transactions to the correct tax period. So if you now go and close those periods and you check what you paid SARS against that report, there's going to be a variance, because those transactions that you processed for the July tax period are now in May, June, because that's when they were actually processed. Please, that does not mean do out of period processing. It's just something you need to bear in mind. Come the end of the year, when you view your whole VAT report, the value should still be the same, guys. What you paid SARS over 12 periods should be identical. It's just the period will have moved from July, August to May, June. So May, June will have a bigger amount, but July, August will now have a lower amount. The variance should be that transaction or transactions. So guys, that is the repercussions of opening this. If you understand that and you need to, and you're prepared for that, you can. So like I said, if you go to view general ledger tax reports and everything's grayed out, you have no choice but to clear the tax periods. You can't send that for a data fix, guys. We're going to have to clear the tax periods. Then you need to understand that, hey, the repercussions of doing this could be that there are differences in what you actually paid to SARS now, because transactions may have moved. Other than that, guys, you can do it. You just need to understand that is the repercussion. So guys, now that we've gone over all of that, does anyone have any questions? Guys, I see the sound went off. Oh God, please don't tell me. Guys, please tell me that I haven't been speaking to myself for 20 minutes. If anyone can hear me, please say yes. Sorry, guys, I just, okay. Whew. Sorry, I saw that it actually, someone said no sound at like 10, and I was quite worried. Okay, so you guys have heard everything I've told you. Okay. Guys, I see that someone has a raised hand. I'm assuming that you're saying you can hear me. Guys, as long as you've heard everything, does anyone have any questions on Tax Manager, on tax settings, anything like that? Please let me know. Happy to answer those questions. Obviously, understanding how that part works didn't take us that long. So guys, now's your time to ask me those questions, but that is basically tax in a nutshell. That's how tax works. That's how you set up your tax. That's how Tax Manager ties in. So please let me know those questions. And those are the two instances that I've seen. One of them was new this week. The other one is where your stuff doesn't show, but you definitely didn't use 00 tax. That's where you use the old reports and then it's a data fix. Any other questions, guys, send them through to me. Otherwise, guys, I hope that you found that informative. I hope that you got something out of that. If you don't have any questions and you're not interested in any of the questions anyone else has, that would be it for the session. Guys, our next session that we are running will be, I'm going to tell you now. Sorry, guys, I'm just checking on my side because I also want to tell you what that's going to be on. So it's in about 2 weeks' time. Guys, if some of you asked me for recordings and I have not sent them, I'm so sorry. Please, will you just send me an email as a reminder? Because I do want to send those as well, guys, just so you know. As a reminder, you can find a lot of the recordings on YouTube or on Sage City. But our next session will be on the 27th of July. And guys, what we're going to be talking about is a really, really awesome session, which is how to use the export utility. So guys, a lot of people don't know what export 32 is. And export 32 is a way for you to get raw data in Excel format from Pastel, from the data tables themselves. And you can actually create your own reports from that. So it's a very underused utility and it can be awesome. With regards to automatically including you for next session, please can you just send me an email? I will do the registration for you. But guys, I don't do an automatic adding. So I don't automatically add you to every session because I understand that not everyone is interested in all of these sessions. So generally what you need to do is select the date of the topic you're interested in and then register for each one of them. Each date that you're interested in, then you'll be included. Otherwise you won't. If you do miss one though, guys, I always record the sessions and I try to convert them into YouTube videos as quickly as possible. I am a little behind. And then I try to link them to Sage City. So I know with Sage Business Cloud Accounting, I'm a little bit behind. But guys, if we had to look, basically what I do try to do is on Sage City, which is where you can also go to register for the sessions. So I'm going into 50 here. I do Sage Business Cloud Accounting as well, guys. If you go here, you'll see all the ones in green. These are all videos you can click on, guys. If it's underlined, you can click on it and it will take you to the YouTube video. So guys, as you can see, I am a little behind. I think that I have done these ones. I just need to hyperlink them, but I'm a little bit behind. So I will get there. This is where you can go if you do need them. And we've got the whole of last year here as well. And then guys, I'm trying to do the same for Sage Business Cloud Accounting. At this point, I just haven't hyperlinked them, but there are some on YouTube. But if you do want a list of those, you can go there. If you want to register for the Sage Business Cloud Accounting, you would go into Sage City, Sage Accounting. And okay, they have not put it at the top. I will try to fix that because that's very annoying. there is this here, guys, and you'll see these aren't hyperlinked, but you can also register here for them. Guys, these are very basic. So I've just started with Sage Business Cloud Accounting. So I've started on the basics. It's not anything major, but I do run you through them and how the system works. So my next one, I'm doing an overview on items, and that is next week, Tuesday. Otherwise, guys, are there any other questions? Will I send the recording as usual? 100%. I will send it as usual. If there's anything that you need to know, you can let me know. Guys, as always, if you have support questions, please email support, sa@sage.com, because guys, sometimes mails do get lost, or I get phenomenally busy. I don't mean to, and I will forget to reply to you. If I do not reply to you within 24 to 48 hours, please just send me a reminder, because I hate forgetting or I hate missing an email. So just pop me an email and be like, hi, Joe, still waiting for this, so that I can be like, oh, goodness. Sam is still waiting for me to send her links to recordings. How could I be so silly? So guys, I don't do it on purpose, but I am a product specialist, which means that I do have to do these webinars. I do have to do the online sessions. I do have to help the guys who are struggling on the floor. I am third tier support. I do deal with dev. There's a lot of stuff that I'm doing. I do the newsflash. I do the videos. So sometimes I just get inundated and I do click on an email, I go, I'll do that as soon as I'm finished, and I forget. So please, if you don't mind, just send me a reminder. It's not on purpose, but I do sometimes click on your mail because I see it's there. And if I don't tell it to go to unread again, I sometimes forget. My email is joanne.barnard@sage.com. And guys, you can ask me things with regards to the webinar. So if you need recordings, if you need KB articles, you're welcome to email me and go, Joe, you spoke about this. Can you send us? And I will happily do that. If I don't reply to you, 24 to 48 hours, send me a reminder, please. And I will do that for you happily. Otherwise, guys, that is it for today. I hope that you have an amazing day. I don't see any questions coming up, so I'm assuming tax was pretty straightforward. So thank you for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you at further sessions. Guys, we're getting to that time of the year again where you need to tell me what you want me to do in these sessions. So as well, if you can send me an email with, hi Joe, can you run this topic? I am setting up next year's calendar. With regards to webinars again, you can send me Sage Business Cloud Accounting and Sage 50C topics that you would like me to run. I cannot do how to use PCC or do data fixing, guys. One, I don't know, and two, for security reasons, we're not allowed to do those. Other than that, please send me what you are interested in viewing, what training you would like. I will do my best to accommodate you. You can email that directly to me. Just please advise if it's Sage Business Cloud Accounting or Sage 50 Cloud. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. Have a fantastic week. Please all pray that load shedding ends. I beg you. And guys, I will see you either next week or the week after, depending if you're coming to Sage Business Cloud Accounting or 50C. Have a wonderful day, guys. Ciao, ciao.